Hi, this is Shimor Live and I'm Helen Bentley.
This is Ryan.
And this is our final stop in our search for the making of Xi Jinping.
Yeah, that's right.
And we're in Shanghai. Hi everyone, welcome to Shanghai.
Hi.
So Ryan, tell everyone, where are we exactly?
We are at the memorial of the First National Congress of the Communist Party of China.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's got relevance. So this grey building in downtown Shanghai in the old French concession area, right?
You're right.
It's actually, like you said, the location of the first Congress. And this October is going to be the 19th Congress of the Communist Party of China.
Yes.
So this is how it ties into our search, the making of Xi Jinping, because this is just around the corner. I know that on our past sort of trips that we've been to, we've seen that Xi has worked in impoverished revolutionary bases.
Right.
So, and then he went on to a creatively diverse town. And then after that, he went to the forefront, the testing ground, some say, of the opening up and reform
So
drive.
that's the city of Shanghai, right?
No, that's actually Fujian,
Oh,
the province of
right.
Fujian.
Yeah.
And then after Fujian, he went to Zhejiang, which is very close to Shanghai. And then he came to Shanghai. And these were his 5 stages that we've been looking at in his overall journey towards getting to the central leadership. So what sort of thing did he achieve here in Shanghai? Because lots of people at home will be saying 7 months. You know, what sort of mark did he leave on the city?
I think first of all, the city of Shanghai is the kind of a symbol of China's opening up, and also a symbol of China's financial development. And we know that during his period of time, which is 7 months here, he initiated a lot of projects or regulations that are quite stick to the need for financial innovation and also financial
regulation.
Yeah.
It's interesting you say that, because I understand that in 2007 he actually did call on the institutions here, the financial institutions in Shanghai,
Yes.
to do exactly what you just said. So to promote innovation, but also to strengthen their regulation. And actually, it was a year later that it was the subprime, I have to read it because I made a mistake every time, the subprime credit crisis, which is quite difficult for me to say. So that was 1 year before this actually happened, and this actually really underscored the fact that regulation was a global concern after this big shift, right?
You're right.
So it was interesting foresight, right?
Yeah. So that's why a country, a leader of such a big country, needs to be with a good vision for the future, and for not only for development of the country itself, but also for the entire world or entire region.
That's very true, yeah. And here we are here. This is just a model of the first 13 representatives of the first Congress in China. And from this building actually that we're here, the museum, to the Great Hall of the People, she has actually commented on this idea of this huge, great journey that's been taken by the CPC from these 13 representatives and the 53 party members right at its start to its current situation now with almost 90 million CPC members,
Yes,
right?
nowadays, yeah, right.
Making it the largest ruling party
in the world.
In the world, yeah? Fantastic. So he said that this actually was helped to strengthen his resolve as a leader. So Ryan, can we talk a little bit about these pictures that are behind here? Because I know that when she came here, he actually looked at this exhibition, didn't he?
Yes, it's a kind of, there are I think 6 pictures, paintings, oil paintings here on the wall that actually they're depicting what happened about
The various.
yes, actually we see that the first National Congress of the Communist Party of China was held in the year of 1921, and in that year, especially in the in July, and people, the delegates, the representatives from the different institutions in China, in different provinces, they came here, and they spent their time here, and we can see that they held different a number of meetings here in Shanghai, inside the house, the building where we are now. And I think the 6 pictures, the 6 paintings are, they're depicting what happened each day. On July the 23rd, it was their first meeting. The first National Congress of the Communist Party of China started in Shanghai on that evening. And Zhang Guotao presided over the meeting. And Marin and Nikolsky, they are two delegates from the Communist International. And they also gave their addresses and introduced the situation of the Communist International and suggested that the course of the meeting be timely reported to the Far East Secretariat of the Communist International. And then the delegates discussed the mission and agenda of the Congress.
Yeah, exactly. And then, so that was all talking about the situations of their local party and league organisations. And these reports emphasised 3 points. They needed to increase the extremely small number of party members, which, as we can see nowadays, with almost 90 million people, then that has definitely been achieved, right? They need to, the methods of organising workers need to be improved, and the methods of carrying out the propaganda, the information work needs to be improved as well. And I think we can quite easily say that's all been achieved, haven't we, Ryan?
Yes, and also during their meeting, I think the third meeting, on to be more specific, it's on the 25th to the 29th of July. There was adjournment of the meeting, and during that time, they drafted the party's program and plan. Zhang Guotao, we mentioned just now, Li Da and Dong Biu drafted the party program and plan on the actual work for deliberation at the meetings. And on the 27th to the 29th, which were the third, the fourth, and the fifth meeting of that First National Congress, the party's program and decision were discussed in detail in that 3 days, and the delegates expressed their views in a free manner, and then basically reached a consensus on the main issues, such as the party's nature, the program, and the organizational principles, but had an intense dispute. They had an intense dispute, of course. I think it's in the early days of a party, it's quite natural and quite, yeah.
And then the sixth meeting is an interesting one, because this is when the policemen of the French concession surrounded the site, so this building, and actually came into the building itself and searched but found nothing. And apparently there was actually secret agents that were trying to keep an eye on the goings-on that was going on at these things. And then the last day of the Congress, apparently the last meeting was held on a pleasure boat, and I know that there is some footage of it just around the corner, and it's this beautifully carved, intricate Chinese boat, where they discussed and adopted the party's programme and decisions, and elected the central leading organs. And that was the first ever party congress. And like I said, in October, we will, in Beijing, the CPC will be convening the 19th Party Congress. And this series of videos that we've been doing, following in the President Xi Jinping's footsteps to find out the making of Xi Jinping, has taken us from Shanxi, from the countryside of Shanxi, the revolutionary base where he went to be re-educated as a youth, and he ended up rising to becoming a village party chief, to his time then in Hebei, this small but culturally rich, diverse town where he encouraged outsiders to come in with their ideas to create economic value, but also opportunities for the locals. He did a really great project there, actually, that involved getting a film crew to come down and do a very famous Chinese film. I don't know if you've heard of it, A Dream of a Red Mansion.
Yes, of course,
Of course. And it was Xi's idea to actually build the location, the set for that, and that was one of China's first ever purpose-built sets in the whole of the country. And then from there, he went on to Fujian, where he spent 17 years. So he was there for a long time. It's where he married his wife, where the couple had their first child, where he travelled up and down the country and went to some really remote villages. In fact, he went to one village, and a local tea maker there was telling me how President Xi at the time, he wasn't president at the time obviously, was the first high-level official to ever make the arduous journey to go to their village. And then from there, he went on to Zhejiang, which is close to here, and he did lots of work with making them change their development path, so closing down lime mines and concrete factories and actually encouraging them to pursue green development and also promoting private enterprises. And then to Shanghai, his final stop, as we said, before he rose to the central leadership. And that was just over a decade ago, 2000, just in the late 2000s. And that's where we are now, right?
Yeah,
So that is the making of Xi Jinping. What did you think?
You have been traveling to these 5 places
Yep.
during the last half months.
A
Right?
couple of weeks, yeah.
I think you must have the chance to talk with people
Yes.
in different places.
Yeah.
How people talk about President Xi.
Well, I mean, like the story that stands out the most is when I went to a small village in Fujian, and it's one that I said to you that it took Xi during the time, in the late 80s actually, it took him a long time just to walk there, like a couple of hours. And this one guy said that the president was the first ever high-level official to bother going there, and I thought that was just a really touching story, you know, that he actually went there to find out what difference he could make, you know, from the sort of the coalface. Anyway, I think that's going to probably be it from us this episode. Thank you very, very much, Ryan. It's been very useful, like having you here and talking. Do you have any more questions before we say goodbye?
Well, if you're, I think before you come to Shanghai, earlier than this, earlier this week.
Yeah.
You said you are very excited about. Your time to be here.
Yeah.
What was Shanghai like in foreigners' eye?
So Shanghai is obviously a very cosmopolitan city. Obviously, I live in Beijing, and it's very different to Beijing in terms of, you know, the way that it looks. It's a very organic city. It seems like it's grown up over time. And Beijing is a very well planned city. There's a grid system, I think you know,
Yes.
and it's very well planned. Whereas Shanghai is this sort of like organic, exciting city that you feel that you can explore around. And I know that when we were looking into Xi's time here, one of the conversations we had was about looking below the skyscrapers of Shanghai, looking, you know, beyond that iconic skyline of the Bund that everyone takes photographs of, as you see on lots of pictures, looking beyond that and seeing what stories lie below the phoenix trees. And I feel that there's a lot of that in Shanghai. And you know, being here, this is just a perfect example of that, right? You know, the party was established in a building here in someone's front room while they were hiding from covert police, and so it's an exciting place full of lots of stories, right?
Yeah.
And also the birth of exciting things.
We can call it a combination of the modern life and also the tradition of the CPC.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, look, thank you ever so much for joining us in Shanghai. You are on our last video of 5 as we've been following in President Xi Jinping's footsteps to discover the making of Xi Jinping. Thank you very, very much. I'm Helen Bentley.
This is Ryan. Thank you. See you next time.